this webinar from PSPDF Kit. My name is Neil Pittman and I'm Head of IT Business Solutions here. This is part of the PSPDF Kit that includes all the Aquiforest products, and that, of course, it's very much made up from Autobahn DX as one of the most important products we have. In this webinar, we're going to show you how the latest version of Autobahn DX is going to help you automate a wide range of document processing workflows. We'll give you a quick introduction to all our new features, such as smart redaction, signature detection, the new OCR SDK engine we've got, compression and conversion options. We'll also get to cover off some specific use cases as well that leverage these new features, including building automated workflows to redact confidential data, converting scanned images to be searchable, and extracting key value pairs like IBANs, invoice numbers, and email addresses from documents. On this webinar, I'm joined by my colleagues, Stefan and Alex, who have both several years' experience of helping customers successfully implement solutions with Autobahn DX. So with that, I'll hand over to Alex to help show you some of the new features.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex, and today I'm going to demonstrate the capabilities of Autobahn DX. Many new features have been added to the latest version with the integration of GD Picture. First, I would like to show you the OCR step that utilizes the GD Picture engine. This step has a greatly increased speed over the other OCR steps as it processes pages simultaneously with multi-threading. OCR is CPU intensive, so you can choose the amount of threads to use with the thread limit option to get the best performance. Now for this particular job, I'm going to set it as a schedule, continuous, to run every minute. So to do this, I've also set the input files to move to the archive after processing, and I've set a batch size of 4. If I show you the input, so I have 28 files here. That should take about 7 minutes to process, 4 files a minute. So I'm going to save those options, and if I go back to the job manager, you'll see it will start running automatically, so I can leave that and we'll come back to that job. Next, we'll go for the key value pair extraction, or the KVP step. The KVP step extracts important information from PDF files in pairs. So if I show you the input file that we have, it's an invoice for a Spanish company. And there's important information you can get here, like the date or the total. So what we have actually done is we've set an expected keys file, which I'll bring over here. So we wanted the total, and what we've done is we've made an expected keys called total, and we've given it a synonym. So if the key value pair extraction finds this, then it will give a value and output it paired with the total instead. Now let me show you what the output will look like. Okay, created successfully. There we go. So we've got the province, Madrid, we've got the date, which was fetcher in the file, and the total have all come out as expected. Now, if you just want to get all the data, then you don't need to use an expected keys, and there's more information that you can extract. I just quickly go back, such as the key bounding box, value bounding box, page number, a confidence value, and there's even different output types. So I did JSON, but there's also CSV and XML available. So that's all there to try out. Now, on to other steps. We have a few new steps for converting from PDF to JPEG, PNG, TIFF, text. All of these are new steps using GD Picture. I'll just quickly show off the PDF to PNG step. Now, the input for this one is a 4-page PDF here. PNGs are single page. So what will happen is I have a unique identifier here. The 6 means that there will be 6 zeros in front of it, or it will be 6 characters, including the number, and this will just go from 1 to 4 because there's 4 outputs. If I run it, then you'll see what I mean. There you go. So it's 001, 002, 3, and 4. And if we look in the output, you can see these are all PNGs. Yeah, that all looks good. So on to the next one, and this is a detect signatures. This step was actually a requested feature because once a file is signed, processing it will break the signing. But if you use the detect signatures step, you can prevent signed documents from being processed, or you can make a copy of that file before processing it. So you have a signed and an unsigned copy. You can even attach the signed copy to the copy that you're processing so that they stay together through the attached signed document to output, which is what I'm going to do. For the second step, I'm going to linearize the PDF, which optimizes the file for web viewing. And I will show you the input file first. So this is DocuSign. If you look up here, there you go. You can see it's signed. Signatures are valid. Now, if I run this, what will happen first is it will be copied to the signed folder, but then also it will be attached to the output. So if we look in here, this is the output file. And you can see that the signature is now invalid because it's been processed. It's now a linearized PDF. But if we look here, then we have the attached PDF, which is the signed version. And this has a valid signature. So they can be kept together. All right, and finally, I will show off the PDF portfolio step. Now this step, I'm going to be taking files from my SharePoint location. Here, I have a bunch of different file types, and they're all, PowerPoint, spreadsheet, PDF, image. These are all going to be combined into one PDF portfolio, and I'll show you what that looks like. It's all downloading from the SharePoint, and there we go. Now it's been combined. I go to the output, and here is the PDF portfolio where you can see all the files that are inside this package. And you can click to open up attachment.pdf. It just shows. For image files, it will ask you to open up in your chosen image program. Same with docx, it will ask you, but they're all here in one package. There you go. It's opened up as well. So that's a really useful feature. Just to close off, we'll go and check up on the OCRing. So we had 28 files in there. Now we only have 12 because they're being moved to the archive. And in the output, we can have a look here. And this file, now it has a text layer. So that looks all good. And if we go back to Job Manager, you can see it's still working on now. So thank you for listening. Go to our website to download a free trial of Autobahn and try these steps out yourself. There are more resources and helpful articles there that you can read through too. Thank you for listening.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stefan, and I'm taking over from Alex here. Thank you, Alex. And so here we are. Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. I would like to show you 3 use cases where Autobahn can help you within your organization to save time and save a lot of effort. The first one I would like to do is the smart redaction step and the pattern redaction step. Now, we've got a lot of customers who use, for example, medical records or process legal papers, and all of these papers have one in common: they contain PII or any other sensitive information. And by definition, a demo of a redaction can really only be done by some sort of made-up documents, which I've got a little list of 3 here. So we've got a credit card application, a car insurance application, and an invoice. And they all have one thing in common. They contain email addresses, they contain social security numbers, bank details, and other things which you may have to redact before you can publish any of these documents. And a lot of our clients do that manually at the moment, and that is a very time-consuming process. But Autobahn is here to help. We've got a smart redaction and a pattern redaction step in the advanced menu. And I would like to show you how they work, how easy they are to use. The first one is the smart redaction step. It, with default settings, already looks after all these documents you can see there on the bottom right corner. So it could be an email address, social security, postal addresses, VAT numbers, things like that. It would automatically, by their pattern, search for in the document and redact them. Now, Autobahn is by definition a workflow process. It looks in an input folder to process documents and outputs them to an output location. I like to rename my files so that it's very clear in the output location what we've done. So we do a little auto redact here, save the job, and let's run it and see how that works. Autobahn process is always the same. It basically starts up the process, checks for license, checks for core settings, and then works its way through all the documents it finds in the input location. When you see exit code 0, that's a good sign. That means everything has processed as expected and finished as expected. Let's take a look in the output location here. Our 3 files are there with the little underscore auto redact as we put in. And if we take a look at them now, you can see that all the PII parts of the file are automatically redacted without any person having to go in there, look manually for what is where, and apply redactions manually. So that is a very efficient step for anything which is sort of pattern-based, where Autobahn can do it by, by a certain structure of the data. But what happens, for example, if you want to redact a particular name? Like in our case, our car insurance holder is Speedy Gonzalez. We all know him, but we can't publish his name. So we need to redact his name. So the automatic pattern can, by definition, not pick that up. So all we need to do is we swap the step from smart redaction to the pattern redaction. Now, the pattern redaction has a completely different settings window here on the right. We can either redact by a regular expression. That's what we're going to do first. I'm going to show you the second options afterwards. So all we need to do is here put either a regular expression, or in our case, very simple, Speedy and Gonzalez in, separated by the vertical separator from a regex. Save that job and run it now. It will run simply because the file, the input file, is still in the input location. We haven't moved it anywhere. So what Autobahn will do now, it will go through all 3 files we've got in our input location and will look for Speedy Gonzalez in any of these files. It will only find it once, but it will look through all of them. So now we've got a 4th output file here, which is that one without the underscore. And we can see here that Speedy Gonzalez has now been redacted out of this document. Beforehand, it was still fully legible and not redacted by the automatic one. Now, by combination of both, you can run these either in one job or in separate Autobahn jobs. You can do basically a full redaction to anything you would like to redact on a document or on a set of documents, depending on what you wish to achieve. Now, regular expression works for small numbers, I would say, but if you've got a larger number of string entries to remove, for example, 50 names or 20 corporation names, then the second option is to store all these strings you wish to remove in a text file. Now, I actually misspelled Mr. Gonzalez there. I apologize for that. But you can have a little text file in here which has 50, 100 strings in there. And all you need to tell Autobahn in that second terms file path window where that file lives. In our case, I put it into the same folder where my documents live, but that can be anywhere where it's convenient for you. And it will go through all the strings it finds in that notepad file and will redact them in any of the documents where it finds them. So that is, I guess, for larger quantities. But between the combination of smart and pattern redaction, you should be able to really save time if there is any redaction needs in your organization. Number 2, second use case, it's not a new step at all. The custom script step has been in Autobahn for a long time, but in my opinion, it's one which often gets overlooked. And I want to show you one very recent example we had, which I think brings it very much to life. So a UK council here was digitizing its planning applications going back from the 70s, 80s, 90s. So they had a lot of documents which have already been scanned. So first step has been done. They've all been scanned to TIFF files, and they are stored in a very particular way with a 3D folder structure which relates to the planning application number and reference. Could be anything in there, a lot of text files here, or could be a site plan, or sometimes there are images relating to that particular application. Now, the brief was to make these documents searchable, which currently they aren't because they're TIFF files, and they also need to be merged into one PDF. Say these TIFF files here, for example, they want to be merged into one particular PDF. Now, the crucial bit here is the naming convention. So we've always got these three folder structures. And if you look at the file name is actually a combination of the second and the third folder where they live in. And this naming convention, our customer would like to keep. So we strip any leading zeros and we have a combination of the second and the third folder name. And that is really the sort of the bit which Autobahn with its standard settings would not be able to achieve. And for that very reason, this job is framed by script steps. The actual main job could be done with Autobahn with absolute ease. We would just convert the files to a searchable PDF and merge them. That would be fine. But the merge step always takes the folder name or directory name of the folder where the merged documents are stored in. So in our case, our merged PDF would be called 002.pdf and not, as they wanted, 97002.pdf. So that is the sort of limitation of the standard workflow Autobahn has in, but this is nothing which we can't overcome. So in this case, we introduced two script steps into this workflow, one at the beginning. With the first one, we're basically taking the already existing file name from the files. And the script is very easily called. All you need to do on the bottom right there, tell Autobahn where the script lives in the Autobahn folder and what it's called. And we take a quick glance at the script. It's not relevant here really, but you can adapt that to any of the folder and file naming needs you have in your world and just call that script wherever it fits in the workflow within Autobahn. Now, that second script at the end does a bit of housekeeping at the end, because to achieve what the customer wanted here, data got shuffled around a bit, and at the end they need to be sort of put back into its original structure. Now we're in the output location now, and everything is exactly structured as it was before. That's what the council wanted, and the merged files are named by the old naming policy 97002. And this is done with, relatively short scripts, and you can adapt Autobahn workflow to your details. The last one I would like to show you is using Autobahn as I guess an internal service provider to your employees by using two steps. One is called read mailbox, the other one's called send documents. Now, in this case, we're looking at an example where employees could send larger files to get them compressed to a smaller file. And the read mailbox and send document step is in the connectors tab on the left-hand side. Our step here is a three-process, our workflow is a three-process step. So we send an email, I send an email, a 14 megabyte file to a certain email address, in this case, my on Microsoft.email address. Here it has arrived. And I'm going to move that email now into a particular folder here, because that's the folder I have told Autobahn to look in. It's called compression in. So the file is in there. So we now know there's something to be processed. Let's take a very quick look at the steps here. So we've got first step, Autobahn needs to read in that mailbox. We need to connect, of course. We're connecting here via modern authentication to the Exchange end and tell it to look in the compression in folder. Then we just use the standard compression step here in Autobahn, but you could use any step in here. You could use an OCR step. You could use a redaction step. You could use a barcode reading renaming step. The choice is yours. Whatever service you wish to provide to your employees can go in the middle. And after the actual processing, we send the email back to the sender, and we can put a nice little meaningful subject header and even a little line in the actual email body. Now let's have a look what this job looks like. So Autobahn again starts up, does its usual cross-checking of licensing and core availability, and then it works its way through the step setting. So first step is we need to connect to Exchange, receive the email down. With the email comes the attachment. The attachment will be processed. In this case, that's done with the GD picture step, compression step. That took 5 seconds. Once that is done, the compressed file will be attached to an email and sent back to the original sender, which was me at my Aquaforest email address. Now, this is all done. Let's take a look if we can see an email in my inbox. And here it is, 7 megabytes. So it's half the size. You can see our little heading and our little subject line there. And that would be all from me. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, everyone, for listening to that. I hope that was helpful in terms of providing some information about the new capabilities in Autobahn version 6. I think I'd just like to sort of tell you a little bit about the future. Now that Aquaforest is part of a much larger company, we've got much more access to a variety of technologies, and some of which you've seen today, such as the smart redaction capabilities. And we plan to continue building these new kind of capabilities into Autobahn DX. And you should see some announcements before too long, particularly regarding about very smart processing with artificial intelligence, natural language processing, and other related technologies. And actually, one of the questions that came up was asking, where with the redaction, are we able to actually automatically redact any arbitrary name? Not today, but that's exactly the sort of thing we would hope the AI and natural language processing should be able to. For any existing customers who are on a sort of current version of Autobahn, you'll find a blog that tells you what the upgrade process is. It's fairly straightforward. Usually takes less than half an hour. For anyone who isn't currently using Autobahn DX, the trial versions are available for download and testing from the site. But whilst there's a couple of questions still, let's keep going answering these questions. So there was a question about Office. One question about Office integration. So the new version does actually include a sort of Microsoft Office to PDF conversion capability that actually does not require you to have Microsoft Office installed on the server. What we would recommend you do, though, is you test that using some of your typical sample documents to make sure it satisfies your needs. But that's there as an opportunity for moving forward. Alex, did you want to make any reference to the web service interface?
Is that what we plan to build in the future? Yeah. So
yeah, I think so. Maybe just so I think so. There's a question about, is there a web service interface available or planned? So I think we have what the Autobahn currently has today. It currently has an API that you can actually use to actually build into a web service, which may be helpful, as well as a command line interface. So there's some other opportunities there. But what I suggest you try contacting the support team, who may be able to give you some specific questions. And okay, and another question about very interested in the key value pair extraction. Is it possible to get a cloud-based API to do something like this in our application? So yes, we do plan to have that. So as of today, we don't. So please get in contact with us, because what we're keen to do is we're keen to sort of make early availability of our sort of the different ways we have for supporting key value pair extraction, including cloud-based as well. So yeah, please contact our team to help with that. So I think we're good, and we're coming. Still got. Okay, so regarding the API comments there. So yeah, please get in touch with the support team, and we'll work things out with you from there. Okay, I think we're just up about time now. Thanks very much, everyone. I think we'll close things down now. Thanks very much for all the questions and interest. Hope it was useful. Enjoy the rest of your day.